too horrible. And this they did for over 400 years. It wasn't a short time. You know, if we think of the bad things that people may have done, the most evil things that people have done, like the Nazis did for over a period of maybe 4 or 5 years. Think of that happening for 400 years. Think of the most evil people in existence and how long they lasted, and then consider that happening for 400 years. God's anger was boiling over, and they would not repent. And God said to Joshua, for everyone to hear, I will be with you. In doing this. So you understand why this had to happen. And he said this very important thing. As we go back, and it's all the way back. I'm not going to take you all the way there, but it's all the way back at the beginning of Joshua. And he says to Joshua, take all the people to war. I want you to remember this. Take all the people to war. Don't let pride get in the way. Take all the people. And that's where you get the success story of Jericho. And that's where you get to chapter 6. I'm not going to tell the whole story, but it is miraculous. A family is saved in Jericho, believe it or not. You think they're going to wipe out everyone, but they don't wipe out everyone. And that's the Lord's will, that they don't wipe out everyone. You know, there's a lady called Rahab who trusts in the Lord, and she hangs the red cord out the window, and she and her family is saved, and she becomes the lineage of Jesus herself. One of the great-great-great-great-great-grandmothers of Jesus. It's so important. If you look at verse 2 of chapter 6, there's another important thing. If you go back, take note of this. And the Lord and Yahweh said to Joshua, see, I have given Jericho into your hand, with its king and its mighty men of valor. Later on this conversation regarding Ai, it doesn't happen and they lose. You know, so often people say that town as AI, but it's not AI, that's artificial intelligence. It's Ai, which is close to Ayin, which is I, but it actually means ruin, which is actually not its actual name. It's the name after it's been defeated, which is how it's been named afterwards, after history. So what it was named before, we don't know. So it's named that afterward. But what was it named before, we don't know. So it's Ai, which means ruin, but it wasn't ruined before. It was a small place, but we'll get to that. So what they do is, God gives them this very specific thing to march around this fortified city that they can't get in. It's one of the strongest cities, and they have to march around and shout and with the presence of the symbol of the presence of the Lord, according to God's command each day, and on the last day, the wall was fall down. It's all the power of the Lord, and He, as He said, He gave it to them. But there's something very important. I'm going to read it. From verse 15 of chapter 6. On the seventh day they rose early at the dawn of the day, and they marched around the city on the same manner 7 times. It was only on that day they marched around the city 7 times. And at the 7th time, when the priests had blown the trumpets, Joshua said to the people, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city, and the city and all that was within it shall be devoted to the Lord for destruction. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in her house shall live, because she hid the messengers whom we sent. But you keep yourselves from things devoted to destruction, lest when you have devoted them, you take any of the devoted things and make the camp of Israel a thing for destruction and bring trouble upon it. But all the silver and gold and every vessel of bronze and iron are holy to the Lord, and they shall go into the treasury of the Lord." And then we know that they went in and they shouted and they gave a great shout. And then verse 21, "Then they devoted all the city to destruction, both men and women, young and old, oxen, sheep, donkeys, to the edge of the sword."